All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. Great high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays. Like working your faces. Grace up the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
What is going on, everyone? This is Nate the Great coming to you live from All Sports All Plays Network. I am here today with Michael Concescio and Greg. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great, Nate. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. What about you, Greg?
I'm doing pretty good, Nate. Doing pretty good. Yeah, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I am doing fantastic. I'm ready to get things rocking and get things rolling. Now, before we get to the topics, we got to pay a little bit of the bills. I'm gonna start off with Suzanne Paparazzi's jewelry.
Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us, from all of us here at the ASAP Network.
And now Misty Meadows. And before we get everything else going, if you want to win a free T-shirt, all you have to do is like the show, comment the show, and be engaged for the show. It's the shortest month, so it's the shortest number of days to get a free T-shirt compared to the January and the rest of the months. So, like, comment, share the stream in order for a chance for you to win a free T-shirt. But say for a second you're shy, and you're embarrassed about comment or whatever the case may be, driving. I get it. You can also text one of us, and all you have to do is pay $14.99 plus shipping and handling. We'll get and tell us your size, small to 2XL. And if you wear a more than 2XL, it does increase a little bit, but it's not too much, not that big of a deal. And now, to get things going, start off with the first topic. Who are your top 5 teams in the NBA right now? We're going to go with Greg first, and then we'll go work our way up.
I think for my top 5 teams, you're going to like this, Nate. I got Denver in there, even though they're only 12-8, I believe. I think that they've really got a unicorn in Jokic. I mean, the guy's getting a triple-double almost every night. I think the Sixers are playing really good ball. I'd put the Clippers in there. Probably the Lakers, of course. You know, they're last year's champs, and they're coming on strong. And I think that the Milwaukee Bucks, if they can get a few more things going, I think that I put them in the top 5 right now. I also like Utah, but I'm still not sold yet on their interior defense. They seem to get eaten alive by exceptional post play. So I think that if they can tighten that up, I'd put them in the mix too. But right now, I'm kind of going to leave them out of the mix right now. So,
Michael, what about you?
Okay, well, my top 5 teams are I got the Nets at number 5. They're 14-9 right now. They're starting to play a little bit better. They picked up some players to help their interior defense, because we all know that's what they're lacking in right now. But they picked up a couple of guys, which I'll talk about a little bit later, to improve their defensive stature. So I got them right now. They're 14-9. They're playing Toronto as we speak. They're up by 1, and then they play Philadelphia tomorrow night, which is going to be a real interesting game. I think that will tell a lot as to how far they will go. Number 4, I got Philadelphia. The Philadelphia's right now they're at 16-7. They have a great record. Unfortunately, they all lost the other night. They didn't have a Simmons in play, but they lost the other night. But they're playing pretty good. I like Philly. They have a good unit. They have a strong first 5. They have some good outside shooting. I really like Philadelphia at number 4. At number 3, I got the Lakers. The Lakers are 17-6. They seem to be taking in pretty well to the new players. Schroeder's playing very well. They're going to be a team that's going to be really tough to contend with. Again, as Greg stated, they are the champs, and you got to beat the champs. And the Lakers right now, they seem like they're just going on slow mode. They have no injuries. They're playing pretty well. They have a great road record, which is going to help them out during the course of the year if that does keep up. I have the Clippers at 2. The Clippers are, matter of fact, they got a big game tonight against the Celtics. That's going to be very interesting. That's going to say a lot also. But the Clippers are playing very well right now, and they have something to prove, which I will talk about later on as well. But the Clippers are at number 2, and then I got Utah number 1. Utah number 1, they're 17-5. They got 2 road games. They play at Charlotte. They play at Indiana. I think they can win those 2 games. And as I'll speak of a little bit later on, they have a diversified bench. They're deep. They're well coached, and they're playing very well. So those are my top 5.
Now we're gonna go with me.
Yeah.
Number 5, I got the Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay.
And I went strictly off their record and point differential.
Okay.
And number 4, I got the Philadelphia 76ers. The one thing that concerns about me with the Sixers is that they don't have a great road record.
That's been the downfall. Yeah.
And number 3, I got the Los Angeles Lakers. They don't have a great. I know division doesn't matter much in the NBA, but they don't have a great division record. They're 0-2 in their own division. Number 2, I got the Clippers, and number 1, I got the Utah Jazz.
You've been reading my paperwork. You must be reading my paperwork.
You didn't say the net. You said the Nets. I said the Bucks. Now, outside of that, that's the only difference. I mean, I know you said. I mean, you said. Well, Greg just hopped off there, but Greg just said that he likes that.
Denver.
Yeah, he likes. He think I'm gonna. He said that I'm gonna like the Nuggets thing. And I do, and I do. Don't get me wrong, but I don't have them on my top 5 list. Maybe top 10. Actually, definitely top 10, but not top 5.
But you know something about Denver? I would agree with Greg, but I saw something the other night that because I would have put Denver up there as well. But you know something? And it really caught me by surprise is the way Gasol played Jokic. I was very impressed. Jokic got 13 points. He's been destroying teams, triple doubles all year long. And with Gasol, I figured that he would get about 45 points against him. But for some reason, and then they were talking about it, Gasol plays him pretty well. And that kind of like tipped me along the line to not put them in the top 5. Because when they go against the Lakers, and if Gasol can hold them down like he did the other night, I don't know. I don't think he can do it like that, every single time they play. But I tell you what, that is a big, big difference when he can stop Jokic, because he's been having a phenomenal year.
Yeah, that's true. Because it's the same way with last year. Jokic he's not a very. A lot of those teams really do need some defensive help, especially with the Nuggets. I mean, Nuggets they got rid of Jeremy Grant, and they brought in
your boy, that's your guy.
And that hurt because they don't have a lot of they don't have very solid defense at all. The Nets are also a concern. Greg, what are your thoughts on our list? Anything to add to the list of what we just said?
I don't really have anything to add. I just want everyone to know that I'm not really dissing on the Utah Jazz. I just think that, I have them kind of on the outside looking in on the top 5 just because their interior defense needs a little bit of work. I think that like with a Joel Embiid or a Jokic or someone like that, I think that they're going to get kind of eaten alive a little bit. So I think that until they can kind of clean up their interior defense, I'm going to put them outside of my top 5 right now. So
he threw that in there just to tease Brandon. Philly, Lakers, Brooklyn, Utah, and Minnesota just to tease Brandon. I love that. That's funny. Now going on to the next topic. Did the Nets change their mind when they beat the Clippers the other day? We're going to go with Con Man. We're going to go with you first.
Did the Nets change my mind with their victory? Not at all. Like I said the other night, they're giving us what we thought they would. They have, the trio there. They're all playing pretty well right now. Matter of fact, all of them, are playing pretty well. They're doing what we expected them to do. We knew going in that they gave up a lot of players to get the 3 that they have now, and they gave up some picks. They gave up a lot of players, but they are playing very well. I think they're playing excellent. Matter of fact, offensively. Now, if we can just get them to perform a little bit better defensively, and they've been working on that. They picked up a guy named Norvel Pelle. He's 28 years old. He's 6'10". He just cleared protocol. He's a rim protector. He played with Philadelphia last year. He's not going to score a lot. He's not going to be asked to score a lot. He's going to be asked to be more of a rim protector and, rebound and play solid defense. He should be able to be playing probably within the next couple of games. So we're anxious to see how well he's going to perform. And they picked up Iman Shumpert, who's going to provide some more defensive ability in the backcourt. He's a big guard. He can shoot the outside shot. He can hit the perimeter. He plays well defensively on the perimeter as well as inside. He can play the 1, 2, or the 3 defensively, and he has a little bit more of defensive prowess, which is what the Nets definitely need because right now they basically have only 4 guys who really are counting on to score the ball, which is Harris, of course, Kyrie, Durant, and Harden. But it's good to see that Harden has stepped up and been the one to sacrifice more of his games to be more of a distributor, and it's paying off. Right now, like I said, they need to get some more improvement on the defensive end, and maybe with these guys coming aboard, it might help. I definitely think Iman Shumpert's going to help because he has experience. He's a world champion. He has experience, and I think he's going to add a lot of depth to their defensive rotation, and I think it's going to be beneficial to the Nets.
Greg, we'll go to you. Did the Nets change their mind with the victory against the Clippers?
I'm with Michael on this. I think that the Nets are pretty much what we thought they were, even before they added Harden. We knew that they were going to be a pretty volatile team, just with Irving and Durant. Now, with those three healthy, I mean, they could light it up on most nights. I mean, we saw, the other night, 124 to 120. They're going to be a very high scoring team with just those three. Those guys are going to get you 25 to 30 points a night um, each and every night on most nights, unless they're having an off night. If you can keep those guys on the court and get a little bit more defense, I think that they're going to be just fine. I don't have them as a top 5 team uh, right yet because, like Michael was saying, they need a little bit more defensive help, and it looks like they may have a couple of guys that can step up and at least give them some defensive stops. Right now, the Nets are a team that basically they're so potent offensively that even with like the 25th or 26th ranked defense in the league, they can still win a lot of games because all they really need, if they're on point with their scoring, is to get a few stops. I don't think that this is going to carry over into the postseason. I don't think this is going to get them a lot of wins in the postseason if their defensive rating is still in the bottom 5 or 6 in the league. But I think that they're going to be an interesting team to watch because they definitely can fill up the scoreboard. So I think that if Steve Nash and company can get everybody on board to maybe get a little bit more defense going, I think the Nets are going to be a force to reckon with. So I think that it was a good win for the Nets, and they're very potent offensively. But as we've seen in the past, high-scoring teams don't always win the championships. The Golden State Warriors in the past won pretty handily, putting up a lot of points, had some great superstars during their dynasty, but they also had a little bit better defense than what the Nets were showing too. So I think that if the Nets really want to make a push into the postseason, I think that, like Michael said, they're going to have to really step up, and it is good to see that James Harden is wanting to maybe take a little bit more cut, maybe in his statistics and everything, and try to facilitate and try to get everybody involved. So it is showing me that they're starting to gel a little bit more as a team.
I tease a lot about the Nets because of this whole Kyrie thing and all this kind of stuff, this trade. They don't have defense. I tease the Nets a lot, but going into a serious mode here, I really, I don't think. I think it's gonna take a little bit, like y'all are saying, that for the chemistry to actually get it work, to get things moving and grooving. Like you guys said, they don't have a very solid defense, which is why I don't put them on the top 5. But here's something that I found that was pretty fascinating. You know that the Nets this season only have 2 games where their opponent scored less than 100 points. There are only 2 games this season against the Miami Heat and the Celtics. It's just to prove. I mean, I know a lot of teams are struggling on defense, but the Nets in particular, they allowed the Washington Wizards to score 140 points.
Nate, that is true, but you know something? You got to look at it this way too, guys, is the fact that you got James Harden coming over from Houston. You got KD coming over, coming off a real severe injury. And then you got Kyrie coming up. Even though he played last year, he's out most of the matter of fact, out all the playoffs. These guys haven't had time to gel. They haven't had time to get any type of team chemistry. They haven't had, with the COVID situation going on and Kyrie, bugging out a little bit over there. You know what I mean? They really hadn't had much chance to get their rotations down, to get their chemistry together. I think in time it'll get better. Will it get really good? No, it'll get better. But I think given the fact that these guys, all offensive weapons, come together to play as one, it's kind of hard. at first, because again, you got to deal with the personalities. You got to deal with the lack of practice time. The NBA right now, all they're doing is watching film, primarily. With all the protocols, all they're doing primarily is just watching film. Very little practice time. So it's hard for them to gel when they're just basically playing game after game after game. So they're learning while the game's going on. And I think what Nash is doing with D'Antoni is just to try to teach as much as they can while the game is going on, and figuring hopefully they can learn to play with each other in time. But right now, I mean, it's kind of what I expected. You know, you got all these guys coming together. It's their first year playing with each other. It's going to take time. You can't expect it to gel overnight.
And just to add on to that, the Nets coach Steve Nash. This is his first year, not as a head coach, but his first year as coaching. So
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
this year, I don't think that they're going to be championship worthy. I'm just going to say that. Maybe a first, second, or third round exit, maybe. But I don't think they're going to make it to the championship. But you know, as next year rolls around, because they've actually played, if they don't make too many moves, especially going in the wrong direction, I think that next year that maybe they're a championship contending team.
Well, I'll tell you what, if they don't contend this year and they don't contend next year, all three can opt out after next year. All three of them can opt out.
Wow.
That's why, you know, a lot of NBA ball players, the superstars, what they're doing now is they're signing 2-year contracts. If you know, they're signing 2-year contracts. So if it don't work, they can bounce and go wherever they want to go to. And unfortunately, that's the way the NBA game is right now. It's a players' league, and they're going wherever they want to go. That's why they're signing these short-term contracts. And does it help the NBA? I don't know. But I guarantee you the expectations are for them to win it all this year. If they don't, there's going to be some issues. And like I said, I don't think they have a problem opting out. They've done it before. They'll opt out again.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be a big failure because now what the Nets did was they gave away their future for now. So they got to do it now, or it's going to be a major problem. I mean, they gave away all their picks. They gave away their future because they wanted to win now, and the expectation is that they got to win. If they don't, I don't know.
Now we're going to give this to Greg. Tim asked the question. When it comes down to who would take the game-winning shot, Durant, Kyrie Irving, or James Harden, who would you give it to? I'll give this to Greg first.
You cut out there a little bit. Did you say who would take the winning shot between those three?
Yeah, between those three, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, or Kevin Durant, who would you give it to?
I would probably give it to Durant because I think that Durant is pretty deadly from anywhere on the court. You know, he's almost 7 foot. He's a mismatch for most players. He can create his own shot. He can pretty much get a shot off of anybody that guards him because he's like 6'10", 6'11", but he's got guard handles. I would probably give it to him. He's proven to be pretty lethal. I think all those three are pretty good. I'd say the least that I would want to maybe take would be Harden, just because sometimes he's kind of off. You know, some days he's really on, some days he's kind of off. So I think I'd rather have Durant in that situation with the game on the line, because you know you can post him up if you need to. He's a mismatch. I mean, most of the people that are guarding him are in the 6'7", maybe 6'8" range. So he should be able to get a shot anytime. So I don't know. I think that Durant would be my guy, but I've always been a Durant fan, even when he was with Oklahoma City, and he's hit some big shots through his career. So he would be in my last game. He'd be my big shot Rob.
Michael?
You know, I kind of agree with Greg, but you know, I'm gonna get a little bit analytical on everybody. It depends how much time is on the clock. You said the last shot. How much time? Because, like Greg said, Durant can get a shot off anytime, anywhere, any place. But if there's 3 to 4 seconds, 5 seconds, I'd give it to Kyrie. I would give it to Kyrie, let him penetrate, then dish off. Because what happens right now is Kyrie is so deadly going to the cup that he's absolutely amazing. I watch him. I don't know how he does what he does. But to answer your question, if it was me, I would definitely give it to Kyrie. Let him penetrate because they're going to have to double team him. And then I would kick it to Durant because Durant doesn't have to work as hard to get his shot off. He doesn't need as much time. So, I would go by depending upon how much time is on the clock. I would definitely put it in Kyrie's hands, let him penetrate, dish off to KD. And more than likely, like Greg said, he can get his shot off anytime, anywhere, any place. So that would be my go-to. I would give it to Kyrie, penetrate, dish off, hit KD with it.
Going on to Greg's point, most of the time, sometimes I would give it to Kevin Durant. But it depends really if because you said that you addressed that James Harden is on and off. If he's on his on days and scoring like 40 points that game, if he's having one of his great days, I'll give it to him because he actually during his time with Houston, he actually broke a record, being the only NBA player to score 40 points against every single NBA team. 40 or more. I would give it to him because there's games where he can score. He can give you a lot of points. So I would give it to him if he's having one of his on days.
But you know something though, Nate? Yeah. What a great problem to have. You go to Kyrie, you go to KD, or you go to Harden. I mean, you really can't go wrong on either one. The only thing I say about Harden, because he's so used to right now being the one to more or less is facilitator, I would tend to think that he right now, given past years, he would take the shot no matter what. It didn't matter. But given the team that he has right now, I think he would be more apt to distribute the ball to either one of those guys. But like you said, Nate, if he's on fire, he's going to probably want to take it as well. But again, what a problem to have.
So to go on to this point, he probably didn't eat as many as Andy Reid. No, that was just a joke.
Oh wow! Oh man! Whoa!
He said he was the only one. He was the only one that shot in Houston. Doesn't feed the rock. That's true. There wasn't really much out there except for Harden during those points, but
right. Mm-hmm. I agree.
Now to go on and talk about the next topic. Are the Clippers a legit team? We're gonna go with Greg first since I went with Conman last time.
Well, I would say that the Clippers are legit. They're a top five. I think they're in the top five in both categories, offense and defense. They have a very good defense. They didn't have a very good defense the other night against the Nets, but I do think they're. Yeah. I do think that they're pretty legit. Even without Leonard and George, they still were able to get a win and against Miami, I believe, and they played pretty tough against Atlanta. So, even without those guys, people were stepping up. I think that they have really good defense most nights. I think that Kawhi Leonard is one of the best two-way players in the game. Very solid, excellent defensive player. I think that they're pretty legit. I don't know how it's going to come down the road if they're playing teams like Denver. How they're going to stack up in the middle. But I do think that the Clippers are in pretty good shape right now.
Conman?
The Clippers legit, 100%, and I'm gonna tell you why. First of all, the Clippers were prior to the Lakers winning the championship, the Clippers were expected to win the whole shaboom shabam. Okay. Now, what happened during the course of the year, as you guys probably well aware, is that Kawhi Leonard did a lot of what's that? What they call it now? Load management. You know what I mean? So that kind of hurt the team as well, and he got away with a lot of things that put a little damper on the rest of the team. So in that regard, he came this year ready to play because he has something to prove. Now, Paul George, again, phenomenal player, recuperating from a severe injury. He's probably playing the best he's played in about 4 or 5 years. You got Kawhi, who's averaging about 26 points a game. You got Paul George, who's averaging 24 points a game. So you got the two superstars are playing at a high level. And, of course, both of them play very well defensively as well. And then they picked up some players. Batum I think, is going to be very effective, helping them out, bringing some stability to, and another great defensive ball player as well. They picked up Ibaka from Toronto. Ibaka looked like he got a little, jump in his step. He's playing very well. He's a good inside force. He's hitting the perimeter jump shot. He's playing very, very well. I mean, and then as Freddie Henderson always says about balance, you got him. You got Morris Sr., another guy who can hit the perimeter shot. You got Zubac, the center, who can be a force. He's more of a rim protector, plays good defense. He's a little slow, but I mean he can get you some double figures points. And then you got the weapons off the bench. You got Lou Williams, automatic offense. Then you got experienced veteran in Reggie Jackson, who again can come on and get you 15, 20 points a game. So I think they have abundance of talent. They're deep in the bench. And again, I think the two superstars have a lot to prove with the fact that Leonard they went and made a lot of moves to get him. I guess they thought he didn't come through in the playoffs. And Leonard, Paul George, who is known for not playing well in the playoffs. And again, they both have something to prove this year. If you notice, Kawhi's not taking any he's even playing the back-to-back games, which he hasn't done in the past. And I think they're taking it real serious. They know they got the people who are on the other side of the building playing very well, and they definitely want to send a message to the Lakers. And I think that they are definitely legit because they have something to prove, and they got a chip on their shoulders, and I think they're ready to take on the Lakers. So to answer your question, they are absolutely legit. And in fact, they got a big game tonight, which is going to tell a whole lot too. I want to see how well they play tonight because they got
Celtics,
they got a real tough game tonight, which I'm looking forward to seeing. So yeah, they are absolutely legit, well, without question.
And now to answer my question, to answer this question, they are a legit team. They're a very, very talented team. They were second, but I think this goes exactly how it went last year. Because Kawhi is supposed to be a leader. Supposed to be a leader for this Clippers team, but Kawhi's not much really of a talker.
Not at all.
Not at all. And I honestly think that I think it's gonna be like last year where they're going to choke in the playoffs. Last year game 7 of last year, the Nuggets scored one less point than the Clippers, and one less point in the fourth quarter than the Clippers did in the entire half. And so I think that it's going to come to playoff time, and I honestly think they should have lose to Mavs if Kristaps Porzingis didn't get hurt.
That's a good possibility. But you also got to remember, too, again, as I stated earlier, Kawhi Leonard only signed a 2-year contract. So he can option out, too, which is unfortunate. But I guess they're really trying to make sure that these guys, or make sure the team is at a win now at all costs. So if the Clippers can't get by the Lakers, again, they were built to possibly take over the Lakers. They didn't do it last year because they choked. Now, will they do it this year? I don't know. If they stay healthy, again, they got a good nucleus. They got a deep bench. Can they withstand the Lakers. I don't know. It's gonna be fun to watch. It's gonna be really fun to watch.
And now, anything to add on to that? We'll go to Greg first.
Oh, I'm good.
No, I'm pretty good on that. I definitely think that the Clippers are legit. I just don't know quite yet if they're going to have enough to get over the hump against a Lakers team. The Lakers, like Michael said earlier, they're kind of in slow-mo right now. It's going to be scary to see once they finally get clicking to their full potential. Denver's, as I said before, is still really tough. I mean, you got Jokic tearing it up. He's having an MVP-like season.
Oh yeah.
He's opening up passing lanes left and right. I mean, he's a big man that can pass like a young Pete Maravich. I mean, the guy can just flat out ball. Murray can light it up. So it's going to be tough coming out of the West. I still think that the Western Conference is probably a little bit tougher to get out of this year than the East. But I do think that the Clippers are legit, though. I think that if they can just, they're still in the top 5 in most categories, offense and defense. They didn't have a great defensive showing against the Nets, but usually they're right there in the top 3 or 4 in the league for points allowed. So I don't know. I think that as we see in most professional sports, it all comes down to defense. In baseball, it's pitching. So I don't know. I think that the Clippers have a good shot just because they're so sound defensively.
You talked. You were, since we're on this route, I'm gonna go transition into the next slide. Whoops. We talked about the Jazz already? No. Anyway.
We
didn't talk about the Jazz yet, and if
no,
we were going to talk about.
We didn't talk about the MVP either.
Oh, okay. I just forgot to add this to the slide. We'll go to the Jazz, then the MVP, then we'll go with comments, history segment. And now, talk about the Jazz. I think that they are. I think they are going to be the favorites in the West. I know it's back to back, and I obviously had them in my top 5 list in the NBA right now. I had them as a favorite of the NBA right now. That's number 1, doing well as of this moment. It's neck to neck. I mean, we're looking at they have the least number of losses with 5. The Clippers and Lakers are both 17-6, while the Nuggets and Trailblazers are both 12-9. Suns are 11-9. I honestly think we're talking about the Jazz. They had 11-game streak, and that was broken. That ended with the loss to Denver. So I have them as favorites in the West. We're gonna go with Michael. What are your thoughts?
Well, to be honest with you, at the beginning of the year, I didn't expect Utah to be that good. But they're playing way beyond what I expected them to play. But what's funny about them is the fact that they are very deep. I mean, they have no one that really stands out besides Mitchell. He's averaging about 25 points a game. I mean, he's the superstar of the team, but they are well balanced. They just added Bogdanovich. Finally got off. I guess he was out all season, so he's finally back. He got 18 points his first game back. So now they got another great shooter to go along with Clarkson, who's averaging about 18 points. They got Rudy Gobert, who's a monster in the middle. I mean, he's a rebounding fanatic. He's one of the best defensive ball players. Matter of fact, some say he should have got Defensive Player of the Year last year. Mm-hmm. They got him at fouls defensively. They got the guy. Matter of fact, at the beginning of the year, when we had one of our talks, and one of the questions were, who did you feel was going to have a disappointing year? And me, again, I was wrong on this one. I had stated the fact that I thought that Mike Conley would be having one of the worst disappointing years of this year. I felt that he was on his downward spiral. He signed that major contract. Wasn't happy at first getting traded to Utah, and I expected him to go downhill. And boy, was I wrong. He's averaging about 17 points a game. He's distributing the ball, and he's just playing very well. Him and Mitchell combined backcourt. I'm telling you right now, they form one of the best backcourts in the NBA. I'm very pleased with him. They got a good guy off the bench, Derek Favors, who's playing very well. They got another good outside shooter in Angles. So, I mean, they got a lot of weapons that you can't just key on one player. And that makes a difference, especially in the NBA. If you got more than 2 or 3 guys that you got to concentrate on. It seems like, and if you notice, besides Mitchell, every night is someone different stepping up to the plate and contributing to their victories. And I tell you what, are they the favorites? I won't say that they're the favorites yet, but I tell you what, they're a team to be reckoned with. I like the way they're playing. What's funny too is the fact that I know this may sound a little different or strange, but there's nothing to do in Utah. There's absolutely, even with the COVID, prior to the COVID, there was nothing to do. And with the fact with the COVID, you don't have to worry about getting tickets. You can just focus on the game. I think a lot of the players throughout the NBA, but I think Utah especially, they're focusing on the game. They don't have to worry about getting tickets. And So I think they're coming together as a unit. I think they're going to be a team to be reckoned with. And I won't put them as the favorite, but I'll put them up there. If they continue to play the way they're playing, they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs.
And going in, now we talked about talking about any of the other teams. Going to go top 5 here. I wanted to address a little bit. We're going to go to number 4. We're going to go to the Nuggets. I wanted to address a little bit about that. They had a slow start. They had a slow start to their season, losing 3 to the Kings. They lost to the Kings twice. They lost to the Clippers, and they lost to one of their team. I'm forgetting who it was right now. And then now they actually have been slowly getting better. Do you think that their thing right now is similar to what the Nets are having at this moment because of the James Harden trade?
You want me to answer that? Or you want?
Yeah.
All right. Denver's been there before. Denver played very well. Matter of fact, they beat the Clippers last year in the playoffs, if I'm correct. Denver will be there. It's going to take time for them to gel as well. Murray's not having the year that he had last year. If Murray starts playing the way he played in the bubble, they're going to be a tough team to be reckoned with as well. But right now, they're starting off slow. I feel kind of bad for Jokic because he's having such a phenomenal year. Right now, his name at the beginning of the year, they were talking about him being the MVP. But as you guys already know, that a lot of it is based on, how well your team is doing. And unfortunately, he's carrying the load right now, most of the load. And Murray's playing pretty good. Murray's doing his thing, but he's not playing at the level that he did when they were playing in the bubble. And I think in order for them to reach the heights they did last year, Murray's going to have to step up and add a little bit more. But, I foresee them getting better. They a couple of days off right now. They go and they play at Sacramento. That could probably build up their confidence again. And I think they'll be.
We're 0-2 against Sacramento. So.
Well, see, now that's even better because now it's going to be payback. So I think that they're going to come back stronger against them. And I think they're going to be all right. I think Denver's going to be there. Like I said, they've been there. They know what it takes. As long as they don't suffer any injuries, they're going to be all right. And what's pretty good, too, is they got their young stud back. So hopefully he gets, in rhythm and starts playing a lot better, too. Because if he starts playing well, I think that's going to help the team to play even better. So that's my guess.
Hey, sorry, Nate. I lost.
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
know.
hear anything, so I had to get offline for a minute.
So the question I asked Con Man, and I'll ask you: do you think what the Nuggets had in the beginning of the season? Do you think it's very similar to what what the Nets are dealing with right now after the James Harden trade? Because they had a slow start. They went 1-5 in their first, and 1-4 in their last 5 games. Do you think that they'll go? Do you think that what the Nets are having right now? Do you think it's a similar thing?
I do. I think that Denver is going to be a force to be reckoned with. They're picking up some steam. They're getting their offense going a little bit better. I know they don't have the greatest of record right now. I think they're like 12-8 or 12-9. But yeah, I think they're picking it up. I mean, they're going to be. I mean, look, Jokic is averaging almost a triple-double every night. I mean, for a big man his size, getting almost 10 assists a night. I mean, that's just insane, you know. And so I don't know. I think that they're going to be kind of like the Nets. I'd like to see Denver maybe make a push, try to get Bill over there. I mean, that'd be lights out, you know, with Jokic and him working off each other. But yeah, I think that Denver's heading in the right direction. That's why I had Denver in my top 5, even at 12-9. So, you know, I think they're going to be good. I mean, they made a pretty good run last year in the playoffs, and I think they're starting to get some of their chemistry back, and everybody seems to be getting in sync with each other. So, I think that the Nets as well, like you were talking about, I think that they're starting to find their way. Everybody's starting to kind of buy into the team concept. Harden's starting to dish the ball a little bit more. Everybody's starting to play a little bit more team ball, not just me. So I think that Denver's going in the right direction, and I definitely think that, you know, like you were talking about the Nets. I mean, I think they're going to be right there too. I don't think that this is their year for a championship, but like Michael was saying, you know, some of these guys are getting like 2-3 year deals, and it's win right now. It's win or win or throw the whole thing away, you know. And I hate to see it kind of go that way right now with professional basketball, but that seems to be the way that a lot of these teams are. You know, they're trying to load up as well as they can, and try to get that ring. You know, and sometimes it works. A lot of times it doesn't. Sometimes the best teams are just the ones that play the best ball. You know, sometimes a team that doesn't have a big three plays better than a team that has 3 superstars. So it just kind of depends, especially in basketball. But to answer your question, I think that Denver is definitely heading in the right direction, and I think in the next few weeks you're going to see. I mean, their record is probably going to go from 12-9 to, you know, like 25-11 or something. You know.
Mm-hmm. And now we're going up in the Western Conference. This is the last question before we go to the MVPs and the Michael, the comment history segment. Pistons beat the Lakers by 15 points. If LeBron isn't there, or if Anthony Davis isn't there, and I hate asking this question because if Freddie's out there in the comment section, I feel like I know what he's gonna do. How much do you think that they're a great? Do you think that they're a playoff contender team if Anthony or LeBron is not there? Not
Greg, you want to answer that one first?
What?
Does Greg want to answer that one first?
Yeah, I'll answer that. The question is, do I think that the Lakers are a playoff caliber team?
If Anthony Davis or LeBron James or both are not there, not part of that team, or injured or whatever the case is.
Well, I would say if neither one of them are there, then yeah, you're looking at a team that would be hard pressed to maybe get into the playoffs. I think that if one or the other was gone, but you know, you have at least one of those guys in the lineup, I think that they're probably on the bubble for a 7 or 8 seed in the West for the playoffs, simply because a player that for some reason they've been talking about for the last few years about trading, and I have no idea why, is Kuzma. Kuzma, in my opinion, is a potential. I mean, I think he has a potential in the next year or two to be like a 20-plus point per night guy. I really do. I think that he's a very talented kid. I have no idea why they keep wanting to shop him around and try to find a buyer for him. But I think that if one of those guys were gone, I think that someone like Kuzma would step in and actually start, filling that hole. He might need another team to get to that 20 plus points per night. But I think that if one of those guys was gone, he'd probably get up to the 20 points per night pretty easily, and I think that he could help propel that team to the playoffs. That's my opinion, but I think that if you take both of those guys out of there, I don't think that they're a playoff team.
Michael?
I think if you took LeBron off, I think AD would be sort of similar to when he played for New Orleans. I think Anthony Davis makes himself look better, and I think he would put up phenomenal numbers, but I don't think that would lead to victories. But his numbers would be great. He would be the same thing like he did with the Pelicans. They wouldn't probably go very far. With LeBron, because he makes everyone else play better, and because he distributes the ball, plus he can get 25, 30 points a game, triple doubles, I think they would still be a tough team to contend with. And like Greg said, I think Kuzma would have to step up, and I think he would. I think the players around LeBron would step up, and they would still make the playoffs. I think if LeBron was off, AD, like I said, he would score a lot of points, but I don't think they would be as effective. They don't have their leader out there, and I think it would make a major difference not having LeBron on. But if AD was not there and LeBron was there, he could will his team to victory, as he's done so many times with the Cavaliers, and he didn't have much talent around him then. I think it would take a lot more effort out of LeBron, but I think if he was there and AD wasn't there, that he would definitely at least take them to the playoffs. How far would they go? I don't know, but that would be my guess.
Okay, so the last segment before the comment history segment. As we saw a good chunk of games, quarter of the season is gone or already. Actually, I would say more of a third. It's getting close to a third, really. As of right now, who would be your MVP? I'm going to go last, and I'm going to go with Michael first.
We had this question. Freddie, likes to give all these questions, which I'll deal with him later. But I mean, we asked this question, and my answers are different now than they were at the beginning. At the beginning, I had Giannis up there. I had Luka. I had Jokic. I had all them guys up there. But again, if you're going to talk about the MVP and who's the most valuable player, I've changed my tune a little bit for the most part. And I'm going to go 3, 2, 1. I'm going to go Durant. Even though the Nets are not playing as well, I still think that Durant is playing out of his mind. His shooting percentage is phenomenal. He's averaging 30 points a game, almost 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Playing on that team, I think he's been very effective. I would go with Kevin Durant as my third. My number 2 would be Embiid. Philadelphia has a great record. We see what happens when he don't play. They are absolutely horrendous without him. And I think if you check the records, their record without him is he's definitely needed on that team. He's averaging about 30 points a game, 11 rebounds. He's playing phenomenal. I gotta go I really don't want it on this one, but I know Freddie's going to be happy. I got to go with LeBron. I really have to go with LeBron. To do what he's doing right now at the age of 35, he's willing that team to victory. The team is playing phenomenal. They had the best away record. Uh, I just think that LeBron's probably going to end up getting the MVP. But that doesn't take away the seasons that Luka's having. Again, 28. He's having a triple double. Jokic's triple double. You know, you got Curry, 29 points a game. You got Giannis, 27 and 12. I mean, you got Beal leading the league in scoring. So, I mean, there's a lot. Dame Lillard. I mean, you got so many guys who are playing real well. But if you go by with MVP, you got to go by what the team's doing right now. And if LeBron takes the Lakers to the finals, well, like he's going to end up being the MVP.
You know who's leading the league in fantasy points right now?
I have no idea.
Well, it's actually Nikola Jokic. And I honestly think, I know, unless if it's different every league, I really don't know that. I'm going to have to double check that. I think it should be whoever scores the most points in fantasy by the end of the season.
Huh? You got me on that one, Nate.
And right now, it's Jokic. Really, the top six as of right now, it's Nikola Jokic, then Luka Doncic, and then LeBron, and then Steph Curry, then Giannis. And then at number 6 right now, it's Nikola. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Plays for Orlando Center. Vucevic. Yeah, he's right now 6 at the scoring the most fantasy points.
Yeah, he's on my fantasy team. He's doing well.
Yeah, he's doing well. So I would go with Nikola Jokic because of his fantasy points. I know I traded him, but that's only because I was getting annoyed by how many.
I don't know why. How could you trade him? What if? Hey, I got to talk to you about that after the show. How could you trade him? Wow, he's having a phenomenal year. It would be nice if Murray can pick up his pace. I mean, he's right up there. He's right up there. He's having a phenomenal year.
I only trade him even after saying that I will not trade Nikola Jokic whatsoever. I got around 20-something trade offers, and so I'm like, fine, go ahead. That's why I got so annoyed. I'm like, okay, fine. And then now last and Greg, I don't think you got your answer. So, who is your MVP as of right now?
Well, Nate, I don't play fantasy basketball like you do, so I don't know about deciding the MVP off of fantasy stats or anything like that. But one stat I'd like to bring up is it's been 14 years since the last non-primary ball handler, which was Dirk Nowitzki in 2007, won the MVP. And I would love for a non-primary ball handler, because I was a power forward in high school and in college, to win the MVP. I would say right now, I kind of have some dark horses that I think are really good. I think that Doncic, I would probably put in the top 3 or 4. You can't count out Giannis, but I think right now the top 2 players in my mind are non-primary ball handlers. You got Joel Embiid, and then you got Jokic. And I don't know. I think right now I would give the edge to Jokic just because he's averaging about 27 and 12, and he's also around 9 assists per game. I mean, that contributes a lot of points just off the assists. So when you count that in, I would say that that's a tremendous all-around game. I think the Embiid, I think he's right around 26, 27 points a night. He's got excellent defensive numbers. I think he's around 1.5 steals and 1.5 blocks, maybe 2 blocks per night. So I think that they're both playing tremendous basketball for their teams, and I think that Embiid is one of the main reasons why the Sixers are right up there in the top 3 teams in the East. But I think right now, if I had to cast a vote, I think that Jokic would be my leader. I mean, he's putting up stats from a big man that we've never seen before. I mean, 27, 12, and 9, from a big guy that's like 6'10", 6'11". And, he's not a small guy. He's not a lanky guy like Dirk Nowitzki. I mean, he's about 280, 290 pounds, getting up and down the court.
The thing about him, Greg, is the fact that he took it upon himself during the pandemic to get in the best shape of his life. Yeah, if you see how he slimmed down, I mean, he could run the court like he never did before. He used to get tired. Now he doesn't get tired. I mean, he's in phenomenal shape. He lost that weight. He's a little bit quicker. Yeah, he's having a phenomenal year. You're right. I can't recall him having a year like that as a big man, and as you said, as a non-ball handler. I haven't seen him around in a long time. So
yeah. So I would say my vote right now, with just 30 games into the season, would be Jokic. I mean, that's tremendous numbers. I mean, 27, 12, and 9. That's unheard of. For a 6'10" guy.
Okay, so moving on to the next topic, we're going to give Michael the big screen here. So, whoops. Big screen here. So now is the time for your history segment. So take away.
Well, again, I want to thank the network for allowing me to have my historical perspective, my historical take on the game and things that have happened. And with it being Black History Month, I think it's only prudent to state some things that have happened that has made the NBA what it is today. I'm going to start with 1950. There was a big thing about who was the first Black player in the NBA. And the truth be told, there were 3. Chuck Cooper, Nate, what they call Nat, Sweetwater Clifton, and Earl Lloyd. The thing that makes it unique about those 3, and people still debate who was the original first one, was the fact that Chuck Cooper was the first one signed. 4 days later, Nat Sweetwater Clifton was signed, and then a week later, Earl Lloyd was signed. So you had 3 of them all signed within a week. But if you look back, a lot of people will say, there was a big separation with the first Black NBA player to the second or the third. But in reality, it was just the same week, which kind of was kind of unique. 1958, Bill Russell was the first Black player to win an MVP award. And I told the story before on the show about how Bill Russell ended up a Boston Celtic, was over the Ice Capades. I tell that story, people still don't believe me. But Bill Russell ended up a Boston Celtic via the Ice Capades. If I have more time, I would go into it, but on maybe another show, I'll reiterate how that occurred. But that was a great move by Red Auerbach and Walter O'Brien. But anyway, 1965, Oscar Robertson became the first Black president of the National Basketball Association. And what that, in fact, did was, as I stated before, there's so many things that happen on the court that the NBA has been great with, but there's been even more important things that were off the court. Because of Oscar Robertson, what happened, as I stated before, back then, in them days, the players had no freedom to move or go to other teams. They were basically treated like slaves, basically. All players. And because of what Oscar Robertson did, he went and filed an antitrust lawsuit, civil lawsuit, that enabled players to go to make a better living on other teams. And I think that played a major part in the NBA, and which they now call free agency. But because of Oscar Robertson, what he did off the court, through the courts, that made it important. Then, of course, 1966, Bill Russell, again, was hired by the Boston Celtics as the first Black head coach of the NBA. Now, I know quite a bit about the Bill Russell story because here I am. I live in New Bedford, Massachusetts, and Bill Russell played with the Boston Celtics. And to see the things that he went through during those times because of the civil unrest and the racial injustices that were going on back in them days. And for someone like Red Auerbach to pick Bill Russell as the head coach during those times of unrest says something really important to the makeup of Red Auerbach, who I'm going to talk about at another date. And, I got to meet Red Auerbach and spent a lot of time with him, and I picked his brain apart, and I want to bring that up at another time. But that, to me, was a very important part, specifically when Bill Russell just won an NBA championship for the Boston Celtics and then comes home to see his house is set on fire. That played a part. That's why Bill Russell didn't even come to Boston for over 25 years because of things of that nature. But that played a very a big role. And then the very next year that he was chosen as coach, they went on to win two back-to-back championships in 1968 and 1969. So I thought that was an important part too, as well. And also the fact that Wayne Embry was hired as the first black general manager from the Milwaukee Bucks. Wayne Embry, you guys might not remember because you guys are probably too young. Wayne Embry played for the Boston Celtics as well. He was more of the enforcer with the Celtics, and he was more, matter of fact, he stood up to Will Chamberlain when the Celtics used to play against Philadelphia, and Wayne Embry went on to do a lot of great things for the NBA. And again, he was the first black general manager. And then, of course, we have Robert Johnson. Robert Johnson is the first black majority owner of an NBA team when he purchased the Charlotte Bobcats, and he ended up selling that team maybe a few years ago. I can't remember exactly how many, maybe less than 10 years ago. But these are the things that were stepping stones into making what the NBA is nowadays. We have the hardship rule, we have the free agency, things of that nature. So I just want to give a shout out to all those players who, without them, the NBA would not be where it is today. And again, I appreciate the network for allowing me to give my little historical perspective. And it's been a blast. And hopefully every week I can give you guys some new information. And I made it my mission to try not to forget those players because, I'll leave it with this. There's been some players, matter of fact, quite a few players who have given their life for the game and yet have not been rewarded or compensated through their non-playing years, their retirement years. A lot of guys could not pay their rent. A lot of guys couldn't afford to their medical expenses. And again, with it being Black History Month, I got to give a big shout out to Chris Paul. Chris Paul is the head of the Players Association, and him, along with LeBron and a few other guys, again, went to the NBA and talked about possibly giving these guys some type of compensation so they could survive. One of the best players out of the ABA, matter of fact, within 2 years ago, got an eviction notice. Do you know what I mean? So those players who set the standard for us have gone through so many problems physically, mentally, and the fact is, back then they weren't making the money that the players are making now. You got guys who are making $45-50 million a year, and these guys, suffered to make the game better for the future players. And I think that they should be given the respect, and due to the fact that Chris Paul and the Players Association, the NBA players now can get compensated, just like football, just like baseball. They can get compensated to be able to take care of their families, to be able to live comfortably, to be able to survive. And I'm going to end it on that note. And again, I want to thank the network for allowing me to do my little historical perspective. And I hope everybody has a great night. Stay safe and stay blessed. Thank you.
All right. So just to close this out, before we go and pay the bills and sign off, do you guys have any final comments before we give this close? I'm gonna go Greg first.
I just wanted to say thanks again for inviting me on the show. I've enjoyed every second that I've been on here. I think I was on here Tuesday and tonight, and I just appreciate the opportunity. It's nice to meet both of you guys. I'm just having a blast doing this, and I just want to thank you guys for the opportunity. In my household, nobody's really a sports fan, so I don't really have anybody to talk to. So I spend most of my nights just kind of watching some Major League Baseball information, and trying to stay tuned and watch a little bit here and there. But it gets a little bit lonely having no one to talk to. So no one wants to talk about politics. No one wants to talk about sports. So I don't know. It's just kind of nice to have a forum to at least talk to somebody about something around here. That's all I got tonight.
Michael.
Well, Greg, I want to welcome you aboard the network. They're a bunch of great guys, so you're gonna have a blast. They're a bunch of great guys, except Freddie. But I gave this big spiel. I'm talking about the Nets and how well they're playing, and right now they're getting beat 123 to 117 to the lonely Toronto Raptors. So I'm not happy right now. So everything I just said, you could throw it out the window.
Oh, I'm sorry. When you said except Freddie, I just think it just reminds me of yesterday's Real Talk when he said Ezekiel Elliott. We gotta admit, Ezekiel Elliott was done. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? He was talking. We were going into football and stuff, and he said Ezekiel Elliott was done. And anyway,
that's why it's called delusional.
Well,
Yeah.
Michael, what they say about the Nets is they usually only need 2 or 3 stops, to win a game just because they're so high potent with their offense. But looks like tonight they need somebody, they might need 5 or 6. So
I'm not happy right now.
Oh, gosh.
Man, game's finally lost. There goes my credibility right out the window.
So my final thoughts was stay tuned for Sunday, because we have a big special guest for Between the Ropes. Don't forget to check that out at 12 o'clock Central Time, PM, of course. Definitely not midnight. 12 o'clock Central Time, we have a special guest, big one, for Between the Ropes. And don't forget to stay tuned for Monday and Thursday as well for both Real Talk and Sports Corner and all the other shows that are on this network. Now, for those people that are in the comment section, I see you, Tim. I see you, Matthew Perry. I see you, Brandon, and messing around as well. And if you're not part of the network, of course, you can win a free T-shirt. All you have to do is watch the show, comment the show, share the show, be engaged. And now I understand you might not want to throw a comment in there or whatever the case is. If that's the case, you can just message one of us, Greg, Michael, or anyone out there in the network. And all you have to do is pay $14.99 plus shipping and handling. And the size goes from size small to 2XL. Now, if you want, like I said at the beginning of the show, if you wanted to pay bigger, if you wanted for a bigger size, then you do have to pay a little bit of extra. But it's not a big deal. The last final ad is Anchor. You want to start a podcast, but you don't know where to start. Try Anchor. Anchor is 1, free. 2, you can get money out of it. 3, you can share the stuff and start your own brand, start your own logo and everything. And also, starting your own podcast. You can also listen to our show, whether it's Boxed Out, whether it's Sports Corner, Sports Minute, Real Talk, and you'll hear what you just saw tonight on Anchor. This has been Nate the Great, Greg, and Con Man signing out for now.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making the plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. Great eye in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.